Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Mindful Momma podcast. And I'm doing a special series, Mindful Souls. I'm super excited today. Today, I'm interviewing Mark Troy, the Midwest medium. If you're from Chicago, most likely you've heard of him. He does sessions at Zada World. Right now, he's doing a lot of sessions via Skype. I'm so excited to hear his story. His story is a little similar to mine, that was in corporate America, kind of like suppressing his gifts. And then something finally happened to fully align him back on his spiritual journey, helping other people.
That's good.
Okay, so welcome, Mark Troy. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So one thing that I wanted to hear from you kind of before we jump into the topic we wanted to discuss today, what happened? Because you spoke about like that you were in the corporate world. What kind of brought you back onto your spiritual journey and helping other people with theirs?
So, I'm not sure if there was exactly one particular moment. I think it was like a accumulation of many things. So, in 2002, 2003, that's kind of where I first got a professional job doing psychic mediumship, but there really wasn't any opportunities. So I didn't have a choice. I had to go back to the corporate world or whatever world and get a regular type of job. But there was this sort of this inner knowing, there was this like voice inside of me that kept saying, "Oh, you'll go back, you'll go back." I go, "Oh, you're crazy. This is crazy." But
Right.
I now know looking back that I had to go back. I had to explore the corporate world and then clinical psych as well in order to become, a better, not just vessel, but just a better conduit, I guess, vessel and messenger for mediumship or psychic or healing. Because without the experience, you really can't relate to the people you're trying to help.
Absolutely. And just to be grounded in your spiritual gifts, because a lot of people that are gifted, it's like crown and third eye, and they're just floating endlessly through the world. And it's really, you see a lot of spiritual healers that really don't find that success as a profession because they haven't done the groundwork with the root chakra, with being grounded, or dealing with finances, dealing with like the mundane business stuff. So I totally get it.
Yeah, and I call myself a modern mystic. So how can you be a modern mystic and not understand anything that's modern?
Yeah.
So you do have to go and actually be human. And I when I train and teach and mentor new mediums or psychics on their journey and even healers, I say the human part of you is going to be maybe more important than this ability. Because without it, like you said, no grounding. I mean, how do you deal with the day-to-day stressors? How do you deal with crisis? How do you deal with trauma? How do you deal with grief?
Yeah.
How do you understand the corporate world, the political, the social? You gotta, like, the human you may be more important than the ability itself. So I know
Absolutely.
that it's all hindsight, though.
It's totally hindsight. I had someone come to me recently, and this isn't the first time, seeking enlightenment. And this person feels like really soon they're going to become enlightened. In the meantime, they have this human life that they're disconnected from. So they don't like their job. It's like this person likes their partner, but again, no connection, disconnected. So they think once enlightenment happens, they're going to be synced up to divine and everything in their life is going to feel so good. And I said, actually, when your soul reincarnates here, it's mastering the human experience that brings about so-called enlightenment, that peace, not getting enlightenment. And then it like sinks into the human experience. So what do you think about that?
Oh, well, I always tell my students that too, new mediums or new psychics. I give them the story that there was a mystic in India, which is a medium,
Yeah.
a long time ago, and he was asking his guru or whatever teacher. He said, "If I meditate twice a day for for a few years, will I reach enlightenment?" And the teacher said no. And he said, "Well, what if I meditate 4 times a day?" same amount of years. And how long will it take me? And the teacher said twice as long. So, you know, it's the same thing. And all my students look at me like I'm crazy when I say that. And I say, the further you try to grab it, the more it leaves you. You
Yeah.
know, so it's passive and
Yeah.
learning to become passive. But yeah, the journey to whatever the enlightenment is, it's not the destination. It truly is the journey. And that's so hard, but we definitely choose to incarnate into this world for the human experience. And then the second part to your, you know, question is about the relationship. So, I mean, books and books and books and books are written about that part where a lot of spiritual people, especially today,
Yeah.
they are looking for enlightenment through somebody else. If
Yes.
it's not through somebody else, it's external, whatever the case may be. And, you know, it's like anything else. It's like, you know, the great divine, the source is actually inside of you. If you can't find it there, you're not going to find it anywhere else. So looking outside externally to somebody else is only going to lead to more frustrations.
Yes.
So
So what do you do? I know a lot of people are coming to you, and myself included. A lot of people come to me and talk about the twin flame. I feel like in the past decade, that term is almost like a hot topic. And in the beginning of this like decade where it's really like blowing up, I was open to it, but due to my own experience in losing myself in a potential twin flame, I kind of pulled back from the term. And I really encourage people to really seek wholeness within, and whoever they date, whether it's a soulmate, a wound mate, a twin flame, it's a bonus, it's an experience, but it doesn't define your wholeness. So what do you do when clients come to you and they're head on seeking the twin flame?
well, it depends if they want to hear the history. So if they if they do want to, I have an interesting take on it, because I did a lot of research. Astrology talks about this and has been talking about it for thousands of years. So it's been around. Um, in actuality, though, when you research the term twin flame, the term eros gamos comes up, because, you know, modern day, everyone in spirituality, new age, whatever, metaphysics, they know of the sacred union is twin flame or sacred marriage. And actually, the Greek word of eros gamos, that's what it means, sacred union, sacred marriage. But before, we're going back thousands of years ago, if you went to an island called Samothrace or Samothraki in Greece, you would try to seek this, but by yourself. So it wasn't with another individual. And so they call it the initiation to the great mysteries. And basically anyone from around the world could travel to this little island in Greece. And there will be women there and there will be men as support. And you would go, and before you would be initiated, you would go through a purification. This is what we know as the shadow work in
Yeah.
spiritual talk today. You would literally be around water, and you would try your best, as best as you possibly could, and we all know what this is like, to face your shadow self, look at the things you like, dislike, the things you haven't let go of, and try your best to sort of let go of those things as best as you can. And we know today it is transmutation, but that's a whole nother topic there. So after this purification, you would go try to become initiated. And the belief was, are you worthy for this initiation and quote unquote enlightenment or experience? And the measure to that is, how open was your heart? It wasn't about creed, religion, gender, race. It didn't matter if you were a slave. It didn't matter if you're a woman, man, whatever, you could go. And so there were men there that would circle, kind of make the form of circles, protectors. And then inside the circle, there'd be women with drums, sort of being there for their, that energy, that supportive energy. And then there would be a place where you could sit. and basically connect. And we know this is connecting to your higher self today. And that's the process of connecting to your higher self, the sacred marriage. And they said sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. So today I mean, modern society of spiritual people, we try to replicate that with somebody else. And the reason is because when the Romans came in, they changed everything. It became about, well, you have to have sex in order to, merge with your higher self. Thus the twin flame kind of thing was born, really. And so it's kind of sad in that way. You can still achieve this through somebody else. It's possible, but it's certainly not the only way. And in a lot of ways, like you said, it's extra or it's gravy. That you can find someone that you love and have a deep soul connection, and perhaps it's a twin flame or maybe it's a soulmate. But that's gravy, as you said. The true enlightenment was, connecting to your higher self and merging with that, and then bringing the spiritual gifts down to the earth with you, and now using that in the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So that was really it. That's the genesis of it. And now today we've changed that because there's a lot of motivations why that changed. There's money to be made, honestly, in keeping relationships together. And people
And
don't
I
like
think,
it.
yes, and I think media and society thrives on us not being whole.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I think there's even that part that we keep feeding it. Like even the Disney movies, I was never interested in watching Disney movies with my kids. And
Right.
I couldn't even put words to it until I did, but it didn't feel good. Like the
Absolutely.
messages they were putting out there, even like with, I swear it was like a parent always died right in the beginning. Like, why are we doing that? Like what's going on?
You're right. You're right.
What's your advice to people that are seeking that twin flame before they kind of do their own inner work? Because I love how you explained how it originated was finding wholeness first. And then, hey, if we attract a partner after that, great, but it wasn't the main focus.
Yeah. Well, I would say this, you try your best. And I think the first step really is shadow self, not first step enlightenment, not first step is another person. I think it's shadow self. I think if we start there, everything would work out. But we never start there.
Yeah.
We're never taught. When I was, starting out too on this journey, which is probably, I would say, truly 2002, 2003, even though you could argue my whole life, but really there, I was told by the books, all the books that are sold, that just love and light and enlightenment. There was no shadow work. There was nothing like, that didn't exist.
Yeah.
I didn't know it. So I understand the problems. So I think education from us, now that's our responsibility now to say, no, actually the first step is looking at the stuff in your life that you're not good at and being okay with it. If you're not a good writer, who cares? You're good at something else. If you're not a good singer, who cares? That's the part. And I think in spirituality, even it still goes on. I have peers that do this. They refuse that. They cannot accept, I'm not good as a writer. I'm not good at washing the dishes. I'm not good at, singing in the shower. And I'm like, no, it really is okay not being good at everything. That's what we call integration or transmutation of the shadow self. To look at these things, bend but don't break. Yes, maybe I don't like the fact that my finances weren't perfect or my health wasn't perfect, whatever the things that you don't like, but don't let it break you. And then you can transmute that. Some of the things you're really bad at or your struggles are your greatest gift, because then you can go on and help people that can relate to you.
True.
And that's it. And then after that, then if somebody comes along that's a twin flame soulmate, whatever, gravy. And then the actual initiation of you merging with your higher self, your sacred union, sacred marriage, incorporating that your spiritual unity with the great divine, whatever word you want to use, into your life will come after.
Yeah.
But you can't, and it's really hard to use intuition. It's really hard to use your soul's intelligence without accepting the human you, because
Yeah.
the human you is the contrast, and we're not doing that, you know. So I think, like, people like us, it is now our responsibility to go, we may not be popular for saying this, everybody, but guess what? This is what we're going to say, and this is the truth. So
Yeah. So with shadow work, which is so important, a lot of people will seek like plant medicine. So a lot of people will do like ayahuasca. Some people will do psychotherapy. Some people will work with a shaman. How do you keep yourself accountable to do your shadow work?
I talk to family members.
Because they'll tell you the
That's what, you know, again, my students, some of them will say, how do you keep your ego in check? Or how do you know that? I go, just pick up the phone and call one of your family members. I go,
Yes.
every single day, just do it. If you think you're going too high and mighty, just pick up the phone and they will bring you back down to earth. That is really, I mean, it sounds silly, but it is the easiest way. But really, if you can be okay with the flaws, and I think I also try to remind myself that I believe we choose to come back.
I believe
You
so
know,
too.
yeah. And if you believe that, then you start to look at the things that aren't so good as opportunities for you to kind of maybe start laying the breadcrumbs. So I don't like how society sometimes can really treat each other terribly.
Yeah.
But maybe I chose to come back to be maybe not the pioneer, but a pioneer, to start to turn that around a bit. You know, so there's a lot of things you can do there. But if you don't believe you come back and choosing to help, it's going to be, you're going to be disillusioned. And I think, and in your self-awareness, it's just going to be a struggle. So
Yeah.
I can see the ego going two directions. Either you'll think you should be sitting on a mountaintop,
Yeah.
or you'll go the other direction where you just, you don't want anything to do with the world. You don't care, and you're full of hate. So, but I don't know what to say other than most cultures, most spiritual ideologies throughout history say we come back. And certainly astrology, which is in every culture, every spiritual modality has astrology, east, west, north, south. They say we come back as a choice.
Do
So,
you believe we pick our parents?
abs- absolutely. What
I
was I
do
thinking?
too.
Just
Yeah.
kidding. Yes, we pick our parents. And I joke by saying that, but I am blessed to have had them. They pick us too, so you both pick each other. And then, you go back, grandparents and all that. And I know it sounds very complex, because it does. And there's got to be a
Yeah.
million choices you make. Even the exact precise time of your birth, you chose that. The
Interesting.
location, the time, the day, the year, yes.
So
And so
both of my sons came early. My first son came like 10 weeks early, and his birthday was 11/23. He wasn't supposed to come till January, like end of January. Second son wasn't supposed to come till end of January. He decided to come 11/23. So they both picked their own birthdays, came on their own schedule. It's hilarious. So that's kind of funny that you said that they even pick like the date and the time they come in.
I have a synchronicity with that. So I was born August 13th, my brother born August 13th, but 2 years apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then my godmother, who looked exactly like me, passed away on my birthday. Her father, which is my grandfather, who is super, 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 super superstitious, passed away August 13th. And
Interesting.
I channeled astrology because I said one day, if a medium 5,500 BC channeled astrology, I should do something. So I wanted to do it. And I was given from, we call it claircognizance, is like receiving information with a thought. Look up your birthday. And lo and behold, there's an asteroid that was discovered August 13th. And when I was born, it was right above my head, which rules career. And it's the goddess Iris, which rules mediumship. So it literally means to be a medium for career.
Wow.
So yeah, freakish, like.
That's amazing. It's so cool.
Yeah.
When you were talking about like calling your family to get like your ego in check, my youngest son is so funny. He's like, yeah, I don't really believe in what you do. Like he'll just flat out tell me, like I have all these people like boosting my ego, right? Like day in and day out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like it's so true. When you come home, you're just this normal person. You're just basic to the people you live with.
Yes, absolutely.
And I love that he is finding his own journey. Like if he thinks what I do is real,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's better to have some healthy skepticism, so that you can develop critical thinking.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing that I hope that I can inspire psychics, mediums, healers, intuitives to be critical thinkers. I don't think it's really taught a lot.
Yeah.
And if we did that, I think we could really not only reach more people, I think the stigma of mediumship or healing or psychic or intuitive or even spirituality altogether would be sort of alleviated, if not altogether, at least to some degree, if we became a little bit better at critical thinking. So
I think about like, even when I work with other healers, I'm a skeptic too. So even though I'm in this industry, I know there's scams. I know there's even people that just aren't that good. It's more innocent.
yeah.
For you, how is it like if you go work with somebody, like what's your mentality?
Well, I always trust my soul, my spirit, who I'm working with. Mediums long ago, especially like I do what they call evidential mediumship, which is you try to get some sort of description of a spirit that you can validate.
Yeah.
When they originally were sort of developing, they would read the aura of somebody and look at their colors, and by that you would determine, okay, I can work with this person, or I could find out everything basically about them if I try to open myself up to their heart, their soul, and their spirit, and that will guide you. So if like there's people, there's mediums that have very little experience that I want to work with, and they're like, why? And I go, I saw everything I need to see. And then there's some that have a ton of experience, and I said it's not meant for us.
Yeah.
But that was the original way, and it's changed that though. That doesn't happen a lot now. Now it's just whoever is, I don't know. There's a million different reasons for what they're doing out there, but originally we were supposed to trust our souls and our higher self to guide us. Really trust spirit to say, I think spirit is saying I should work with this healer, I should work with this intuitive, I should work with this mystic, I should work with the shaman, not the resume,
Yeah.
not
Which,
all this other
yeah.
stuff.
Which is what it's become. Like you're more focused on the resume versus if you have a connection with this person.
Absolutely.
Do you outgrow like your mentors? Do you have mentors? Did you have mentors?
This is a tough one. I feel like I'm not sure if I could say mentors. I feel like I have so many inspirers. Maybe I should use that word, because that word mentor is a very difficult thing. I would like to refer to as more of inspirers.
Yeah.
And do you outgrow them? I don't think you can outgrow an inspirer,
Right.
because what I learned too is the human them, their mistakes, that's ongoing, right? They'll never run out
Yeah.
of mistakes. So that part you can't, there's some mediums that do so many brave things, psychics and healers. There's healers out there doing brave things too. That is, no matter where they're at on their journey, that really, captivates me. When
Yes.
someone merges mental health in this, like you, that really, I mean, that really inspires me. That's like, wow, I can't wait to see what this is 10 years, 20 years. It's going to change that, it's innovative.
Yeah.
So I would say no. With the inspiration type thing, the mentor thing is such a subjective word. I don't know,
I
but I could
wonder,
say that. Go
I
ahead.
wonder if because you're a Leo, I'm a fire sign too, like mentor kind of feels like controlling or something. So right away, I loved how you like flipped the word.
That doesn't sound like me. Yes. Well, that's probably.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
My father's the same too. Like he's always had an issue with like authority, like still to this
Yeah.
day. Like he's such a free spirit. It's amazing.
Why? And anyone who takes a class from me, I say that too. I go, I'm not I'm not a teacher. I'm not a guru. I'm not a mentor. They're like, yes, you are. I'm like, no, I'm not. So I'm like, I can only get a little bit of a little light on your path. You know, the
Yes.
path is long, and I'm grateful, but I'm certainly not the path. I'm only a little bit of a light on that path. So it is probably the fire in me, though.
Yes. Yeah. Which is a good thing. When we were talking about like reincarnation, so like picking our family and it's this intricate system, is that why we have like these soul families? Do we typically reincarnate with like the same family?
Yeah. Same family, same friends, same twin flame, same soulmates, same soul groups. Yes, 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 yes. Over and over and over and over again. The astrology will show you that in synastry too. It'll show you, oh my gosh, you know, there's a lot of different markers that'll show you that. But we do that for a million reasons. But you can see it's interesting how some of the soul group members, we'll say that, have changed and some not so not so much. And you're like, oh,
Yes.
I'm sure you've said to yourself, as I have, you've done this, this person has done this in 3 different lifetimes and they still don't have it, you know. So
Yes.
but yeah, it's wonderful to see that. And we choose that. We choose our soulmates, soul groups. We choose all these people to reincarnate at specific times. You'll go ahead of me. You know, you'll go 5 years ahead. I'll come later for different
Yeah.
reasons. I had someone real close to me say, "You chose to be born a couple of years before I did because you're further on your path, your spiritual journey." And I go,
Yeah.
"Well, I don't know how to measure that. You know, I don't know how to measure that. So if you say so, because you know,
Right.
and I'm sure you would agree, whatever enlightenment is, whatever word you want to use, or whatever nirvana is, or whatever that awareness is, so that it can happen in an instant, you know. So it's so subjective and hard to say just because you were enlightened or holier than thou one lifetime. I'm not sure you can exactly say once you reincarnate, you'll start where you kind of left off necessarily.
Yeah.
As a human, the soul does, but the human doesn't. So you can still be born a little bit sort of um, not awake or asleep or
Yeah.
whatever, and then come back. So
And sometimes almost as like a form of protection. Sometimes like the asleep state is protecting you from something. Maybe you're not psychologically ready to like handle it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you're asleep or whatever term you want to use for that, then you can go through some of the more material or less enlightened stuff because you chose on a soul level to help people navigate through that as well. So if
Yeah.
you start enlightened, then how are you going to help anyone?
Exactly. Because you don't have those lessons ingrained in you.
Absolutely.
Okay, when we talk about like enlightenment, nirvana, which I hate enlightenment, I even awakening, that term is like
Yeah.
attached superficially now.
Yes.
My medicine for it is like wholeness, inner peace, acceptance, get out of victimhood, stop
Yeah.
chasing something, be in the present moment. Like that's my medicine to be in that space. What's your medicine for people? Because it's like they're chasing it.
Yeah. I think acceptance is step one, like you said. Acceptance, not only of now, so a lot of people have to go backwards. They have to go backwards to their family. They don't want, you know, it's not even, I don't like to use the word forgiveness for people because you know, that's such like, it's like dynamite. So like, I'm
It's a
not, they don't
trigger.
deserve it. It's like, it's not even about, it's not about them. It's about your brain. Your brain needs, like, your brain wants to move on. Are you going to give your brain a vacation ever? Like, so acceptance is probably even a better word to use because there's so much stigma attached to the word forgiveness. So polarizing. So they'll
Yeah.
have, I feel like you have to go backwards, probably to birth, And I do offer people this thing called let go letter a lot, where they write out from beginning of time, the earliest memory, everything that made them upset, angry, sad, just or pain. Write it out, reread it, burn it, and then that hopefully it's like there's some things they're gonna say, I can't get over it.
Yeah.
Yes, but if you can say maybe I can't, but I'll use this to help people,
Like
uh,
energetically, even if you can energetically release it, maybe the emotional part's going to catch up. And
eventually.
that also, yeah. And that goes back to like, if you can believe that you picked your family, and this is hard when we're talking about like abuse, but
Absolutely.
if you can believe not the human part chose the family, the soul, because you wanted to go through these hard lessons to be able to help people in the future. I think when people can hold space for that theory, like not even
Yes.
fully grasp it, it helps that forgiveness, like more like acceptance. Like there's a part of me that chose this path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And like you said, I think it starts energetically and then later maybe emotionally or mentally or physically it'll respond. And it's
Yeah.
not like you're not enabling, when you say free will exists and they chose those things, that's that. But it's about you, and if people can kind of get that conceptually, then the healing and that process moves later. But the other thing is there's no such thing as living in this world, in my opinion, this is just my opinion,
Yeah.
being at 100% happy 24 hours, 7 days a week. It's supposed to be a balance, and not to say, well, miserable 12 hours, happy 12. No, it's it's coming to the place where, yeah, this, things will happen, and you're always going to go through challenges and crisis, no matter what. Even if it's not you, you're going to have someone close to you that goes through it. So it's kind of
Yes.
unavoidable, but your coping skills get better, and how you deal with it and coping with that certainly can improve. So when you face it, you're not as thrown off, or you see the
Yes.
blessings, guys. But we still supposed to cry, we're still supposed to feel pain and anger and sadness. Um, so I think the first time I saw that was, what's his name? Tai Tai Nichan. Did I
Yeah.
say it right?
Yeah.
I can't even think the Buddhist, where he said when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. passed away, he went into depression, and I thought to myself, this is the most spiritual person I know.
Yeah.
I didn't know spiritual people go through sadness, and that was a huge eye opener for me. It's like, well, if someone like that can admit that, then we all gotta go, oh wait, what are we doing? Like, of course we're supposed to feel emotions and all that, but don't let it be your downfall is the key.
Yeah. Don't get
That's
stuck in it.
what it is. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Um, and I love how people, even people that have platforms now, are speaking of depression and anxiety. So it is making it more easy for people to kind of claim, like, oh, I have this thing I'm working through. To add to what you were saying, I notice how some people will get like overly excited. And that same person, when something slightly negative happens, they're in like the low zone. So I do teach people like the healthy zone to live is like on a scale of 1 to 10 is like the 3 to 7. So
Yeah.
even when this exciting, and I train people like how to sync up to the universe. So if you're getting overly excited for something good, there's a part of you that's saying, I don't deserve it.
Yeah.
Because the excitement is like, I'm surprised that this is happening. And there should be a part of you that's like, of course this is happening. I deserve it.
Absolutely.
You know?
Well, and then I always say, never get too high, never get too low. Same,
Yeah.
same thing, same concept. But yeah, wait, that's sad, that's such a normal thing that we're like, wow, like, why are you surprised? Of course why not you, So
Right.
I really like that you have that. But yeah, um, a scale of 3 to 7's pretty good to me. Never get too high, never get too low, and you'll get to a place where you'll have a little bit more harmony in your life.
Yeah.
So I
And
love
that's
that.
like the inner peace. One more question before we go, that a lot of people struggle with is when they get on this spiritual journey, they want to find their tribe and their people. So I know we're similar in age. we're both spiritual, and we both definitely live the human experience. How's your experience been with like friends and your tribe and finding people to relate to?
Well, a long time ago, I would say it's probably 2001, 2002. There was a woman I met. She was also a Leo, but she was she was a reader. She was an intuitive reader, and she told me, your social support, the people you date, they cannot be toxic. If you want to find whatever it is that you're supposed to find, I didn't know what that meant, but I trusted it. So, but then
Yeah.
she said, slow, it will happen slowly, Mark. So I've always been kind of patient with the tribe coming in one by one instead of, where are they at? Like 20 should be showing up at my door tomorrow, which is, I think there's a panic button for a lot of people that they
Yes.
go from, their normal friends that were interested in normal things, but probably were toxic. And then they become interested in this stuff. And then they need 20, 40 friends or whatever that are all spiritual at once. And they don't, so if that doesn't happen, something's wrong. And I think if they really are part of your soul tribe, it will come in gradually, and you just have to have patience with it, because all good things come to those that wait, right? So
Yeah.
I think you need to kind of, if you truly really want to make the most of your experience, you got to be open to that happening, but you got to be patient,
Yeah.
with that. So that's my best advice. But as far as holding on, what I do see a lot is people will become spiritual, and then they will enable. And it's not just romance, it's also friendships where they're really toxic friendships, and these friends are really horrible to them.
Yeah.
And they go, well, love and light. It's like, boy, they just stabbed your car tire. I mean, like they
Right.
let that lie. I'm like, that's really not what this is. Like, you can love them from a distance, but not let them, hurt you
Yeah. Take
physically or
advantage of
anything.
you.
Yeah, I mean, that's not what we're saying in these books. We're not supposed to say that, but apparently that's the message that keeps going out there. Um,
I
so I
saw this, I saw this shirt that said there's no self-love without boundaries.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh God, boundaries. I think are really missing. Just got to be blunt in the modern day with spiritual people, um,
Yeah.
because they have no patience. They just,
Yeah.
everything's got to be instant. It's a microwave type of society, and I can't lose these because I'll never have it, and I need it now, and so I'm going to keep on. Like, well, if you have 20 toxic social support people, one's a romance and the others are friends, like, how do you expect to kind of have peace and harmony?
Right. And it's going to be
So
a journey of detoxing that situation, like dismantling it,
absolutely.
almost a cleansing, purging, and then to raise your vibration to get ready for like those newer friendships. And just like you said, it's a journey. You have to be patient. And my belief is the way that the universe works is by frequencies, and it's slow shifts. So you can't go from like this dramatic detox to nirvana.
Yeah.
So it's like you're
And
going to get better friends, but they still might be toxic at the end of the day.
absolutely, that's true. And the other thing which you really bring up is that we have to remember, when you get spiritual friends, they will have flaws.
Yeah.
So, but that's another thing. So I've seen that a lot, where spiritual people then get spiritual friends, and it's not nirvana. It's like, they said my shoes were ugly. Forget it. They're not spiritual, and they get rid of them. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, no, 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 no. We can't do this. Like, listen, like, is it malicious? Is it intentional malicious, or is it just annoyance or whatever? So we have to really relook at. That's another huge thing, though. It's almost like I see a lot of fake spiritual friendships
Yes.
going on, because they're too, you know, they're in love with the idea, not the actual experience of what
Yeah.
it
In love with the love and light, but not the shadow work that
is.
does come to the surface when you have these intimate
Yeah,
connections. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I always say, well, I mean, they could say whatever they want. maybe be annoying, but it was their heart in the right place. And if that is the measure for me for spiritual acquaintance or friendship, it's not really the other stuff. But that's not. But these people that are in love with the love and light, they haven't done their own shadow. It's
Yeah,
impossible. It's really, 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 really hard to use your intuition, to do mediumship, to do psychic work, to do healing work if you haven't done shadow.
agreed.
But they keep skipping it, and then you're not going to get those good, long, sustaining spiritual relationships, whether it's friends or romance, if you don't do the shadow either. It's
Yes.
just unless you want it all just imagination. I mean, then sure.
Right, right. If you're okay with being on the surface and that works for you.
And then you're okay.
Right. Don't fix it unless it's broken.
Right.
So what are you working on right now? Like what's going on in your world right now? What are you offering? What's up?
So everything. No, my passion is to provide, mediumship, psychic readings for the
Yeah.
public. I hope I get another opportunity on television. I was on television not too long ago because I want to show the stigma that we can alleviate the stigma. And I think what I do, mediumship and psychic readings and this ability, I think it breaks the status quo. I
Yeah.
do. And I think we need that. We need people just to inspire them to be critical thinkers and to inspire them that maybe there's more to life than just taxes and cars and all that, that there might be something else there. That's really why. And I love, my passion is training and teaching and helping new mediums. So I do offer that for anyone around the world. Just in a week from now, it'll be 4 days a week that I'm teaching, which is a
Oh my
lot.
gosh. Amazing.
So yeah, I still do one-on-one readings. I do astrology. I'm on social media. Social media alone is a job. I mean,
Yes, 100%.
my
Yeah.
God. So, but my passion and my heart, my soul is knowing that this ability does break the status quo. And I think if that's step one, I feel like then step two is maybe helping people become better humanitarians,
Yeah.
especially
Absolutely.
especially I don't know if we want to use the word light workers or spiritual or whatever we want to call them, to be better humanitarians first, which is really probably our greatest gift, and then maybe spiritual second. So
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. And just, it's like you look like a normal dude. So I did see you when you were
well,
on
thank you.
TV. And that's what I love too, is like, how when some people get spiritual, all of a sudden their style changes. And it's like they're wearing the typical spiritual stuff. And
Right.
my style always stayed the same. And my dad's kind of the same way. Like we have our style and we're healers. So I also appreciate how like you're just normal and you're just doing your thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. I remember it was years and years and years ago. I used to do readings from the place I lived at, and a guy came and he said, "I'm just so glad you weren't wearing a cape and had, all this stuff." And and he was just a normal Midwest looking dude too, and
Yeah.
he walked away crying.
Mm.
So I'm like, well, that's just the human me is as important. Being grounded, being in this world is truly just as important as this ability, if not more so.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah.
I love it. I'm so grateful you were here with me today. I really think people are going to enjoy what we discussed today. It went perfectly. I'm going to post all your links and stuff so people can find you. But thanks for coming today.
Thank you so much for having me. It truly was a pleasure, and I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And we'll chat soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye now.